Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, I shot this video on August 10th, 2020, and my goal here was to give you a bird's eye view of the western garden plot. So as you can see, the one row that's missing there is where the cauliflower was. There's 3 rows, permanent raised beds that are weed matted, of the blueberry plants on the left-hand side and the Acer red cabbage on the right side. We're currently in the western garden plot, and which is on the west side of the workshop barn area. Below us right now we can see some of the blue Hubbard squash, which have really taken over this part of the garden, and they've climbed up and over the first trellis here and made the way over to where our beans are growing on the hoop trellis on the right side of the screen. Ahead of us you could see some of those black pots down in the wood chip area there. Those are some of the volunteer thornless blackberry plants that came from roots that started below the wood chips earlier this spring. I had pots there last year and the roots extended down below the surface. And there, now you can see the scarlet red runner bean plants there. The hummingbirds are enjoying that, going over the hoop trellis. And there are there are honeydew and cantaloupes on the underneath the blue Hubbard squash. So the permanent raised beds for the blueberry plants, those 3 rows on the right hand side, have really done well. The cauliflower in this garden really didn't produce any usable vegetables for us to consume. Therefore, we went ahead and removed those and are using all that excess plant material to help as a green manure to feed the hazelnut area in the second food forest. On the right side of our screen are where the honeyberries are. That's where you can see the drip tape and another set of scarlet red runner beans along the chain link there. So we have 4 different varieties of blueberry plants started last year from seedlings, and they had a hard winter, and then we transplanted them this season. So we're leaving the western garden plot now, and we're heading over to the central garden plot. So my goal here is just to give you a bird's eye view, an overhead projection of the gardens. It also helps us to see how things are going, and that's one of the reasons for doing every week or every 2 weeks updates on the crops that are growing. You can't see the comfrey up against the workshop, but you can see the corn is really doing extremely well. Those are single rows of corn in 2 separate permanent raised beds. Then our San Marzano tomato plants that are in a single row in tomato cages that are all attached together to help keep them upright. They're producing like crazy. We're flying right over in the center of the screen right now is the broccoli plants, which failed to produce very many broccoli crowns for us. So Thea, after this video was shot, went ahead and used our loppers, chopped those all off, and in our most recent garden update, you can see that row is now barren. The pepper plants have been doing great. The tomato plants are doing great. The kale have been doing great. The sweet potatoes appear to be doing great as well. And the sweet potatoes are on the right side of the screen. And so really happy with the productivity of the gardens. Again, well, you can see the shadow of the drone. This is a GoPro Karma. And you'll see at times that the video gets very shaky, and that's because the gimbal, I haven't figured out what the problem is with the gimbal in the Karma. The Karma seems to be positionally unstable. So we're going now over into our eastern garden plot. On the left side of the screen are where the blue potatoes are. They're an Irish type potato. We grow the blue ones because they're loaded with anthocyanins. Here we have the peppers right below us on this screen here, and these are the jalapeno peppers for the most part, not all of them. Then we have the Black Beauty eggplants on the right, and to the far right the Oriental eggplants, which are long and narrow. They do pretty great. And we're just moving around here. Now I'm under a honey locust tree. And this tree gives us this dappled shade. And I think this tree actually is beneficial for most of our garden plants in here. They allow enough sunlight to come in. They act as a nitrogen resource for the gardens as well. Their leaves are a wonderful carbon source for the plants as well in the fall. So I'm real happy, although would I tell someone to plant a garden and stick honey locust trees in their vegetable gardens? No. So over here we can see the leeks. We used to have awesome abilities growing our leeks, but it really took a lot of effort keeping them weeded. So we're trying this matting system this season. So there's really 3 mats, a mat on each side and a cut down mat in the center. But as you can see, there are some weeds that are growing up in between the leeks. It's a bit of work going out there and controlling those weeds. Then we have the hoop trellis there that's coming around right in front of us. That one, because of our drought this season, the soil has really dried out quite a bit and hasn't been as wonderful. So in other words, the plants aren't producing as well as they could. But if you see the ones up further away from us, you can see they're higher on the trellis and they're under the dapple shade of the honey locust tree. So we're going up the access road to the dog run area, which are the pillars up ahead of us. Now we're moving to right over our rain gutter garden. That's a raised bed. Then we can see where our cantaloupe, watermelon, and honeydew melons are on this trellis here, back here. Then directly underneath us are the sage, the thyme, and the lavender plants in this area here. The irises are around it. I did use the flail mower to mow down. The weeds just got completely out of control. Thea's been pulling quite a few weeds as well. I'm not sure. So this video was shot before the weeding of the onions up ahead of us. So we're flying over the basil, the onions, there's beans in here. Thea pulled a bunch of weeds out of here. We take those weeds, for the most part, most of them, and we use them as a mulch for in our food forests. And they work extremely well. We give them one day in that hot, dry sun. It deactivates their ability to regenerate. Thea had pulled right next to this trellis here all of the cucumbers. She had finished that. There's some sage at the base of the area there. And this is the trellis we'll be taking out. It's just too tight in here, and I think we can have a little bit more productive area by changing things up. We'll see what the future lies. But right here you can see one of the Sweet Georgia candy squash isn't doing as well. A lot of leaves have died back on this. Now I shoot these videos midday or late afternoon, and you can see the leaves look a little bit wilted, but they always do at that time. And these are handicapped, the rumble wall, raised beds. Strawberry plants are planted in each one of these. And so the one on the left side of the season is the one we did transplants on last year, and the one on the right will be where we do transplants this fall. And then we have the beans, all those yellow looking area alongside of the right side of the handicap bed there. To the left of the screen is the canal, and that's a soil connection canal system that we collect soil for building our gardens from sediment. Now we're rotating around. You can see that honey locust tree over part of the eastern garden plot. And we'll shoot underneath it a little bit by coming down on an angle, and we can see outside of the dog run. That's our western side of our eastern garden plot there. In a couple of minutes we'll be going up in elevation, and we'll be able to see a little bit more of a high view of what the gardens look like. And after this video, I did shoot some shots of the ponds and canals. And so there'll be another video coming up in the very near future I wanted to give an orientation of where the ponds are and the ramifications of the severe drought that we're having. Now, these gardens aren't affected by the severe drought with the exception of those scarlet red runner beans in the lower right hand corner of your screen where that long trellis is, because I didn't get those mulched very well. So we're going up higher now. You can see the central garden plot is right next to the building there, between the roadway and the building. So that's the workshop barn area. You can see on the left side of the screen pond 4 over there. You can see how the access roads make their way around these particular areas right in here. And again, there'll be another video coming in the near future looking at a bird's eye view of the ponds. And there's ponds 5 in the upper left hand corner there, very, very low, and that's one of the ones I've been doing some resealing with as well. At the top center of the screen is that brown area with a fence alongside of it. That's where a high tunnel will be going when I get the opportunity. I'm just a bit behind. You can see the greenhouse project is on hold right now. We're coming down over the western garden plot, and you can see on the outside of the chain link fence right below us right now the wood chips that are there. So we'll be propagating more perennials in that wood chip area here, and just letting that get a little bit of age. You can see the blue Hubbards there, the weed mats. We really do rely on the weed mats at this point in time. I'll be switching over in the future. I'll be talking more about soil health and cover crops as I work through this process of this transition that we'll be doing. So that's a bird's eye view of the gardens, how things are going at this point, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give us a thumbs up if you found it of value. Thanks so much, folks, and have a super fantastic day. Bye-bye now.